that rush, that drug, that dope, those pills, that crumb, that roach. Thinking I will never do that, not that drug. Growing up, nobody ever does, until you're stuck looking in the mirror like I can't believe what I become. So I was gonna be someone, and growing up everyone always does. We sell our dreams and our potential to escape through that buzz. Just keep me up.
In the future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Greetings, everyone, and Happy New Year. It is 2014, and it is our initial show of Dr. Judy WTF, and I'm your host, Walt Lusk, and of course in studio, all doctored up for the new year, is Dr. Judy Rosenberg.
And tonight we are looking at life through a new lens.
Definitely rose-colored glasses.
Of course. And if some of you have been watching our previous shows, you might know that I have a mind map for healing human disconnect. Our biggest problem on the planet today, we are extremely disconnected on all levels. Mother-infant disconnect from ourselves, disconnect from our spirit, disconnect from our brothers, our sisters, our lovers, our friends, our community, and of course, on a macro scale, global disconnect. So,
and it seems the more connected we get on the internet, the less connected we get to everybody else.
Yeah, it does seem that way. It's just, it's just a huge missing today. The skin-to-skin contact, the eye-to-eye contact.
I'm all for that.
So I'm going to take
That's
the glasses
important.
off so I can have eye-to-eye contact with everybody
So since it's
tonight.
now 2014, it's a new year, and we're just cracking it, we thought we would continue our series of Hole in the Soul with habit breakers and habit makers.
So let me explain what I mean and what we mean by the hole in the soul, because we all have a bit of a hole in the soul, some more than others. And a hole in the soul is a direct response to mother-infant disconnect. So let me talk a little bit about Psych 101, because what we need to be healthy as a human being, what we need for healthy human psyche are some basic human ingredients, like...
You think?
You think, right. Like, how to make a cake. What do we need? Eggs, we need water, we need flour, sugar. I've never made a cake in my life, to tell you the truth. So you know what I need is a Dunkin' Donuts, Heinz, whatever, packet. And,
yeah, since you used to work at Schick, no Twinkies.
No Twinkies, no. And I'll talk about my experience at the Schick Center, which was a place where lots of habits were broken, and a lot of different methodologies were employed to break these habits. And tonight we're going to be talking about sustainability, a very, very important concept, because with all good intentions, we start the new year with a bunch of commitments,
resolutions.
Resolutions. And then, within a few days or weeks or a month or 2 months, we notice that we fall off the wagon, and no longer are we eating right or exercising, or no longer have we kept our commitment to stop smoking. And so tonight is really a great timing, I think, because we've all just eaten a bunch, and we've all just overdone it on many levels. And so we have to look at what we can do, not only just to get back on track, but how are we going to sustain ourselves?
I know. I've got to get ready for the one piece I bought so that I can get to the beach.
Really?
Summertime. Yeah.
Which one is that? I'd like to see you model that, okay? Maybe
it's just a one piece. Yeah.
Maybe we'll plan out.
We could work that later in the year. We'll work on that.
Yeah, we'll plan out your big plan for getting it back on track, and then we'll show the results, the final reveal.
The before and after. Okay. The thing is, it's never too late to change or break a habit. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how long you've had the habit. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you have a desire. A will, and obviously you can't do it alone. No man is an island, and have some help. it can be attained, it can be sustained, and it can be achievable. Because I'm really smart. I found an Aristotle quote. It's basically it says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not at all an act, but a habit."
Wonderful. And speaking of what we repeatedly do, you all know that this show is called Dr. Judy WTF, and that stands for
What the Freud.
Thank you. Okay. And I chose that name because the brilliant Sigmund Freud, one of my heroes, I thought the guy was absolutely brilliant in terms of what he brought to the field of psychology. Things like the royal road to the unconscious is our dreams. I think that's pretty insightful. And then the fact that we repeat things, Freudian repetition principle, we repeat things because we're really trying to fix them. So in terms of the hole in the soul, what happens to us is that when we're disconnected from birth, when we don't have the skin contact, the eye contact, the consistency.
From our primary caregiver.
Primary caregiver. If we don't have this consistently for the first 2-3 years of life, then what happens is that we develop what attachment theorists like John Bowlby, another one of my heroes, calls anxious attachment or avoidant attachment, attachment styles that then repeat later on in life and blueprint into our relationships with not only others, but with ourselves as well. So
yes, ourselves. And if you know what, though, and before we forget and we get too much farther, this is a call-in show. So we want you to please call in. And as we say, do not unload, do not implode, do not explode, but unload. And our telephone number, and we'll take any calls, is area 323-284-7826. That's 323-284-7826. We are literally broadcasting in the heart of Hollywood at the Gower Sunset Studios, right here at Sunset and Gower. It's an awesome place. UBN Radio. And so call in, get on the couch with Dr. Judy, and we'll have some fun. You can talk about some habits you have, habits you don't have, some successes, some non-successes. The one thing I find about habits is what a lot of us do is we set ourselves up for failure. Like, for example,
question about it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a classic, and this really impacted me a lot, was, you want to go out and run 5 miles. Okay, great. But, do you just throw your tennis shoes on and you just run out the front door of your house and you start running 5 miles? The first week, all you want to do is you want to get up, put the stuff in you're going to run, and walk out your front door. Okay? That's it. You're outside. You've accomplished your goal.
That's right.
Yeah. Maybe you're going to walk down and get a donut, but you know what? You're dressed up and you're ready to run and you're just getting ready.
And that's a great point, Walt.
Yeah. And the next week you might want. I'm up to walking around my house.
Really?
Yeah.
And
next I'm going to work on.
salute you.
Next time I'm going to work on walking around the block. But the point is, you want to do baby
But
steps.
don't overdo it, okay?
I don't want to strain myself too much.
No, please don't.
Yeah, I
need you in the studio, okay?
Well, thank you. So the point is, a lot of us have these massively huge, lofty goals, and that's great. Those are important, and the why of why we have those goals is also important, but you don't want to set yourself for failure. So start small. You can build momentum. And a lot of us, why are gyms so packed in January and they're empty by March?
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
Same thing. Everybody doesn't realize these lofty goals and they just give up.
So I want to start with the injury or the wound because that's how I see things. I have a perspective on life based on the principle of human disconnect. And Walt, if you want to put the mind map up there.
And also
I'd really
one of the
appreciate
segments
it.
later on, please stay tuned. We are going to shrink a tune regarding habits. One of the highlights of the show is we take a popular song and we actually read the lyrics on air. And then Judy puts it through her mind map system, and then we play the song. And it's kind of fun to get a different perspective. We were just chatting with a couple of guys who, when they had the New Year's show, and they kind of talked about songs and how they related and how they were written, kind of in a quasi-shrinking, and went over really well. So it's a fun segment. But the mind map is 9 segments, 9 panels. And let's see if I can find it. It is right here. So those of you that want to see it, you can go to www.drjudywtf.com, and you can see the mind map there. So it's up and all 9 panels in its glory.
So let me tell you what the heck a mind map is. A mind map is a map that will take you from the problem and identify the wound, and through dismantling the problem and paradigm shifting into solutions. So how does that relate to habits? Well, it relates to habits a lot, because what happens is that if you look at panel 1, for those of you who are on my on the site, or if you're live streaming the show right now, you could see that panel 1 has darkness to it and it has light to it. And that's who we are. We're the darkness and we're the light. And we're born into the world, the light. And then we have a shadow cast upon us, which is the shadow of our multi-generational relationship with our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents, and this trickles all the way down to us. And so all of the cutoffs, all of the wounds, all of the past addictions, baggage, right?
Baggage,
yeah, ends up on us, wounding us, and causing what I call us to be penetrated by psychological viruses. We become infiltrated, if you will, by these psychological viruses that then play on us and cause reactions. And when these reactions get triggered, then what we want to do is we want to react to the reactions. And how do we react to reactions? That comes at a later stage when we develop bad habits. So those are reactions to the reactions, the original wound. And in the process of being wounded and reacting, we then encode into the fiber of our being a core negative belief about ourselves.
And we talk about reactions. Those of you who many, many moons ago read Steve Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it's been updated. Of course, he's passed. It's the 8 Habits of the Highly Effective People. We might get into that. The number 1, which really changed my life, was to be proactive versus reactive.
Beautiful.
And the way to be proactive is you got to figure out what you want to do and how you want to do it, so that when stuff happens, you can't be that swayed, and so therefore you are being more proactive in what you're doing. Because if all we are is being reactive and being firemen,
yeah,
that's
why I found it as a psychologist really important to create a system for healing our human disconnects, because we can get in a room with a psychologist or psychotherapist and just talk about what's hurting us or what's bothering us during the day, but that is not really going to solve anything. It might reveal factors that are important for the therapist to know, but ultimately, if you don't get to the wound and get to the core belief that's then encoded into you as a result of the wound, and then dismantle that and take a look at the defense mechanisms, which are those horrible habits that we form in the course of these reactions, like smoking and drinking and overeating and gambling and being a shopaholic and
drugs
and on and on and on and on. And there are many defense mechanisms. We're good at it.
We are professionals at it. We've had a whole lifetime to do it. As a friend of mine put it, his definition of a therapist in most cases is just eventually it's a friend you pay to go see.
Yeah, and that in my view is really bad therapy, because
is it therapy?
It's not therapy.
Ultimately,
it's ultimately not therapy, because if you're not being really shown how to be the cause of the outcome of your life, if you're not really being shown how you were wounded and how you were reacted, and how the foundation of your negative core belief, which gets tripped up all the time, core beliefs like I'm a failure, or I'm stupid, or I'm not worth anything. Okay, when you have core beliefs that are encoded into the fiber of your being, the DNA of your psyche, then what happens is that every time they're tripped up, then, you want to self-soothe. Why do you want to self-soothe? Because you were never taught how to self-soothe in the first 3 years of life, because mommy put you in daycare too soon, or mommy wasn't emotionally available, or daddy and mommy were splitting up and she was more focused on her emotional pains. And there are a slew of reasons why we become disconnected from our primary caregivers.
Just like redoing a habit, that's written in our DNA, of course, of sorts, when we're born. But that doesn't mean it has to stay that way.
Correct.
Through some amazing therapy, and I can't tell you, a couple times a week at least, Judy calls me up and tells me an amazing success story of a patient she's seeing. The process and success.
By the way,
she
I
has
do
with
hold
patients.
my confidentiality.
Yes,
So these
yes.
are little snippets of
Yeah, well, of course you do.
generalities.
Very, very huge generalities.
Just in case you're my patient and listening,
Oh yeah, no,
just be assured
I have
that I have,
no idea
have
who they are.
obligations and laws.
But the success rate is unbelievably quick.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how wonderful it feels for me to make a difference in another human being's life, particularly when I can do it quickly. And I find that when my patients come in and we can use the tools of truth, self-reflection, self-correction, when we can use truths and healing dialogues, and when people are courageous enough and vulnerable enough to reveal the wounds of their childhood, they get better. They get better because they're no longer suppressing this. And when
Well, not only suppress it, but they're not a slave to it either.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so there's just a lot of freedom around having a plan of action to crack open the defense mechanisms and release the poisons from the past so that people's lives can flow again. And it really, really is really, I said that 3 times, didn't I? That's because it really
You really
is.
did.
It's really beautiful to watch. And it's an honor to be part of that process.
And you're right. I mean, just listening to the success stories, it's incredibly freeing. So, I mean, if you want to get on the couch with Dr. Judy, have at it. It's a new year. Turn over a new leaf. Get on the couch. 323-284-7826. And, you know, talking about habits, you know, there are several triggers. I've got an article about triggers that, or if you want to quit smoking, Judy, we've actually had previous shows you can go check out on the podcasts. And Judy has her own website, and she's written a book and a whole system. It's called esmoke2quit.com. esmoke2quit.com, and you can go check that out. And she's got actually a book and a couple of options in terms of the e-cigarettes. And what's exciting about the ones that Judy selected is they are vegetable based, and so therefore there are not these chemicals in them. And you got one that's
that is
gradual, and then one is cold turkey.
Yeah, and just to talk about smoking just for a couple of minutes, because it's such a huge
41% of America smokes.
And 9 out of 10 smokers want to kick the habit. And there is an easy way to do so. And so I put together a book called Dr. Judy's Habit Breaker Stop Smoking Plan.
It's an easy read. It's even paperback.
It is. And you can get it on Amazon. And you can order the e-cigarette kit if you wish, because it's meant to be used with or without the e-cigarettes. And again, esmoke2quit.com. And smoking is just one of those habits that not only is it a habit, it's also an addiction. So a lot of these habits are also addictions. And by addictions, I mean it gets into your bloodstream and it gets into your system to the degree where you go through withdrawal if you're not actually reloading on the drug nicotine or whatever it is.
Nicotine is an incredibly addictive drug.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the smoking companies, the cigarette manufacturers have perfected and spent decades making absolutely certain they got you right where they want you.
Perfect
puffing on those
plan.
cancer sticks forever.
Yes, perfect marketing plan, because
Absolutely.
every time you smoke, you need another to reload on the drug.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're a customer for life until you decide that you've had enough.
It's one of the few habits where the first time you smoke, you're sitting there, you're coughing, you're hacking, you're going, why in the heck am I doing this? But guess what?
Yeah.
Do it again.
So anyway, one of the themes of this show, the main theme of today is habit making, habit breaking, and sustainability. And sustainability is key because, again, you don't want to start something that you can't finish. So if you have a plan, like Walt was saying, okay, his plan was just to put his tennis shoes on, put his workout clothes on,
and walk out the front door.
Step out the front door.
Okay,
Step number one.
I've realized my goal.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm a success today.
Absolutely. Attainable goals. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how to choose the type of workout or the kind of food plan that you want to go on, because we've talked a lot about food and mood. We've talked about smoking. We've talked about food as an addiction. We've talked about a lot of habits over the course of many episodes. But today, I really want to talk about it through the lens of sustainability. So what does that mean? Sustainability simply means that you don't want it to fall apart. You want to create a core system that's going to really give you all of the ingredients necessary to make sure that what you say you're going to do today remains your word a month from now.
I think that's why a lot of people don't even
start
trying to break a habit,
Correct.
whatever it is. I mean, or start a habit like, eating less or exercising, is because they're afraid they're going to fail. Oh gosh, I've tried this every year, for the last 10, 20 years, and it hasn't worked.
Right.
Well, the reason is because there's no system or support.
Absolutely.
You can't do it by yourself
I
to
don't
keep
think
it
so.
going. Yeah.
And there's so much
even
available.
getting a running partner, or now with the internet, I can't tell you when I started doing research on this, the first stuff I got by a lot, I mean, I was blown away, is there are apps for your smartphone like you would not believe. It was incredible on how to break a habit, make a habit. I mean, that's great in my view, but you got to put a little something behind it. Just having an app on your phone isn't going to work. But the apps were just incredible.
They really are, and I know that my son wears one of these wrist watches that count calories, and every time he exercises, it tells him how much he's burned, and I think that's an incredible a tool. And there's nothing to substitute for human connection, because going back to panel 1, the wound, why are we so disconnected? Because we're not touching each other, we're not connecting with each other one-on-one, we're connecting with each other through apps or online or cell phone or what have you, but there's nothing better than a partner, a friend, your spouse, you're just anybody that you decide to partner up with.
It's win-win for both of you guys. If we're talking about exercising or diet, you win, they win. You're helping yourself, you're helping them, and vice versa. It's a double win.
And Walt, I think I began to tell you, and I want to share this with everybody, we are now putting together a very, very cool online system, a phone therapy system whereby the mind map will be up. You've got to commit to 10 sessions, and we're going to start with an overview, and then we're going to mind map you from the problem and the wound through the process of really identifying your reactions and the encoding of your core belief, and then dismantling that, cracking open your defense mechanisms, and allowing you to express what you've suppressed so that you don't depress and go into anxiety and symptoms. So this is a very, very exacting course, if you will. It's
and it means it doesn't matter where you are. If you can hear the show,
correct,
then you can do it through the phone or through the internet, and
that's
it should
right.
be set up a month or two?
It's actually set up now, and if any of you want to take advantage of it, we're actually doing some fine tuning so you can get a discount on it. We have a life coach, my life coach Josh Golitsky, who's trained in my system, and then Elizabeth Crane, my PhD candidate, just wonderful.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Very wonderful human beings. They're trained in my system, and they're going to be available as well as myself to jump online with you, and so that you can be there with the mind map, and you can have it recorded and take notes on whatever's going on, and we will truly take you from the problem through the process and to the solution. And we will have,
as a friend of mine said, the best investment you can ever make is in yourself.
Absolutely.
And 10 sessions based upon the success I've heard Judy have, oh my gosh, it's amazing. The transformation of whatever you're trying to accomplish will change your life. I didn't even know she was going to mention this, but it will change your life.
Well, I'm really excited about the system, and we're also going to have menus so that if you want to quit smoking, or you want to change your lifestyle and relationship with food, or you just really want to better your communication skills. Now I can't talk, right? With your loved ones, then you can specifically sign up for the course on quitting smoking, or whatever applies to your life.
Well, I thought what in the research I did, there's basically 4 broad categories of what habits tend to fall into, and one of them, of course, is to identify a habit. Maybe you don't know you have one, and we can chat about it. And because I mean, if you don't know you have a habit, or if you want to find out where the habit originates from, you know, you might have a better chance of relating to it and fixing it. Some triggers. First one is the location or time of day. Okay, maybe you get the munchies in the afternoon just because you didn't have as much lunch or a big enough breakfast, and so now you're eating munchies. Or, I read one story of a person who just absolutely was famished and starving by the time they drove home, and they're literally just eating anything and everything they can when they get in the house. And as a solution, they said, put some light snacks, maybe some nuts or something in your car so that you can kind of get started on replenishing yourself before you get home.
The prevention plan, right?
Yeah, the prevention
okay,
plan,
if you don't want to have low blood sugar level in the middle of the day and then be prone to chocolate and donuts and whatever, then make sure that you have your protein in the beginning of the day so that it'll sustain you. Again, sustainability, because once that blood sugar level drops, then you're now triggered. You're triggered to eat things that...
And you're now a slave to that. And you know what? We've got a call in.
Oh, yay. Okay.
We do. Hi, you're on the air with Dr. Judy, and on the couch, too. Thanks for calling.
Hi.
There we go.
Hi. Who's this, please?
Hello. This is Denise. Hi, Dr. Judy.
Hi, Denise. We have here Denise, my favorite new yoga instructor, and we
Welcome,
just met,
Denise.
and I
I
want to start by thanking you, because I wanted to get in better shape this year because I've been working too hard and not exercising enough, and I decided that I was going to look into yoga as my main form of exercise, just because it's a mind, body, spirit kind of an exercise for me. And I walked into, make sure I say it right, Core Power Yoga. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Thank you. On Ventura Boulevard.
In what city?
Would you call it?
Sherman Oaks.
Thank
It is
you.
Sherman Oaks. Okay.
Right. So I walked into Core Power Yoga, and Denise was my instructor, and she's just so loving and patient and made the atmosphere so warm that I told her to please call in, because Denise, you see a lot of people who come and go, right? They come and then they disappear, and then you don't know whatever happened to them.
I know.
So,
I was at Judy's home the other night, and our time was cut short because I got to get to yoga.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the encouragement. It's true. I was rushing to you.
That was true.
So I want you to tell us and tell the people that are listening a little bit about yoga as you understand it as a form of exercise, and how people can start, and what could be what are the key points in sustaining any kind of exercise system.
Sure, of course. Yoga is a physical, it's not just a physical activity that you can engage in. It is the union of your mind, your body, your spirit together, working all together. And the asana practice, the physical practice that you, Judy, come to take with me, that we get to experience together and connect as human beings together, is a way for us to really unite our breath with our intentions. We set an intention for our class, each class, and I want to come to the definition of intention versus a goal. With a goal, it's something that is future focused, and it's the future doesn't exist, neither does the past any longer, but the present moment of being in the now is where our intention lies. So our intentions are what we have set for class, and being present in each and every moment that allow us to really create our life, create each moment as we live it. And we allow ourselves to build our habits that way. We build our choices and our thoughts and then our habits. So yoga, I came to yoga several years ago when I had some injuries and when I was going through a lot of things in my life and I needed to find balance. And it's such a great way to come to a community and a supportive group of people that you feel safe in and that you feel nurtured by. And like you and Walt were talking about earlier, with really finding that system that allows you to keep going with the intentions and the goals that you're going for.
Yeah, I was just saying, no man is an island, right? We can't do it ourselves. No matter what our goal, no matter what our goal is in terms of a habit, it's impossible to do it by sheer willpower.
And Denise, as you're talking, what you're saying is so in line with the mind map system that I use to heal human disconnect, because ultimately what you're talking about is intention, your consciousness, setting your intention, and the state of being rather than doing. That sometimes when we go to the gym, and I certainly have a lot of work at the gym too, and not at all to knock the gym, because there's a time and place for everything, and each of us are unique in our selection of how we choose to work out. For me, I'm finding as I need more peace in my life that I want my body to unfold, and that I need to leave things there. And one of the things that Denise says in the course of the class is, so what would you like to release today? What would you like to leave here in the room? What would you like to, as our vocabulary says, unload. We need to unload. And so,
exactly.
Right. And so I find that when you lead the class, Denise, I feel very loved. And again, the most powerful force on the planet is
unconditional love.
Yeah, I mean, you're so sweet. I mean, I just started this class, and Denise is coming up to me and rubbing my neck and back, and she's so respectful. And so just the idea of being in a loving, nurturing, peaceful environment where the stimulation is low. And, I talk a lot about human connection and the idea that everyone in that room is really there to not to compete. Yes, not to compete, but to grow. Yes.
And I wanna touch base on going back to what you said about what the difference of the people who have that sustainability of coming to class, meeting their commitments that they've made for themselves, and the people who gently come and go.
Yeah.
There's such a difference between that energy that comes and is unsure and at every point, sometime in their life, everyone's unsure about something. But when you really commit to a goal of coming, okay, I want to come physically to this space, this safe haven, at least 3 times a week, you're going to get there. But then if you don't make that commitment for yourself, you don't put yourself in the position to grow with that community and for other people to help push you gently and to feel open and safe.
Exactly.
And a safe environment to grow.
And don't you think consistency is important, in the sense that I know that when I see my patients, I try to see them at the same time. When I see them, it's they come at a 2:00 hour, they come at a 9:00 hour, or a 5 p.m. hour. I'm actually, one of the things, and I think you'll probably concur with me, that if you block off a certain time of the day for yourself and put that aside as me time,
make that commitment,
then it happens.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Right. And if I just say to myself, I know I've been very unsuccessful in the past when I say, well, you know what, I'll work, I'll see how my day goes, and then I'll see if I can squeeze in some exercise. Doesn't happen.
Never happens.
Of course, yeah. Because there's so many things that can derail us, especially living in a city like Los Angeles. There are so many distractions, and it's amazing how many times I have to remind myself, be patient or surrender, the idea of surrender, being stuck in traffic, having the patience to sit in traffic. And really settling into where I'm at in each moment of my life. But it really is so important to make those goals and continue that intention. That's something that you can keep going no matter if your goal is met or not met. Hopefully it's the first.
Well, it's a journey, I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, you didn't get the habits you have or where you are overnight. So obviously it's going to take time to do and realize what you want to do.
What would you say to people who are like the crowd that you talked about, who come and go, and they really do want to do this? They genuinely do,
best
but
of
then
intentions.
somehow they just lose the momentum, or maybe they overdo it on the first during the first class, and they get turned off to it. What would you say to them to help them to bring themselves back into that that mindset, that mind space, so that they can sustain what their original intentions are?
Yeah, in yoga, in Sanskrit, we have something called ahimsa, nonviolence, and that is not just being nonviolent to others, but being nonviolent with yourself, being kind and loving with yourself, and having that humility and that understanding that you are where you need to be each moment, that you are present and that you hold to your intentions. And that is a lot of what we work towards in yoga, is being present.
I was going to say,
knowing where
because
you
of all the
are.
interruptions we have, just quieting the mind and just being present, that alone, negating even sitting down and even trying to do meditation would be a challenge,
Yeah.
I would imagine.
And
Because we're being bombarded, and our minds are just going a million miles an hour, 24/7.
And Denise, one of the reasons I thought it would be a great thing for you to talk today is because I deal a lot with mind, body, and soul, and there's no other workout that I know of that incorporates mind, body, and soul as does yoga. And it also supports our being, because we're so busy doing, let's do 20 push-ups, let's do this, let's do that, let's go for a 5-mile run. Great stuff. And at the same time, we need to rehearse our sense of being, just being in a child's pose, or just being in Shavasana, which is the relaxation pose, isn't it?
Corpse pose, yeah.
And then
and having the humility of being where you are, that is part of surrender, is just being where you are right now.
Well,
and
agreed. I mean, we're so busy doing.
That's
To
right.
stop and be is, I'm sure, would scare some folks, because they're not doing,
Yeah.
they're being.
So what I like to
and
what I like to
Walt mentioned. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Y'all mentioned about how we connect, the ways that we connect online, and that which are great too. But when we really connect with ourselves first and foremost, and then the people around us, and just allow ourselves to open up, it is scary. It is scary.
It's very
to just-
intimidating.
to just connect and to be, but that is a risk, and that's a risk that we have to take in life, and it's really beautiful when
Most
when
definitely.
you do.
And one of the things that I noticed that I want to pass to people who are listening is that when you get involved in any kind of workout, I personally like to buy myself little gifts. Like I bought myself a really cool water bottle, and I got myself some really great yoga clothes, and then of course I picked out, with Denise's help, this beautiful light blue yoga mat with this other mat that goes
gorgeous.
over it. It really is, and I'm a big Disney fan.
It's you, Judy.
So it's
It's
like
you.
so me, It's like, it's got like Tahitian sky written all over it, blues and pinks and purples and
beautiful,
oranges.
yeah.
So sometimes we have to buy ourselves these little gifts that make us want
That make
to.
you happy.
Yeah.
It made you happy. I saw the smile on your
Yeah.
face. You were like, yeah, this is perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
She's
It's
still
the it
smiling.
mat.
She's still smiling.
So I'm just so glad that we had a chance to have you on, and I know that a lot of people out
Thank
there.
you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. That's Core Power Yoga on Ventura Boulevard, right
Sherman
near. What's the cross street
You get
there?
a free week.
Where is
Free
it?
week. Okay, well, do you have a
Oh,
website?
yeah.
Do you have a website?
Free week, everybody.
Yeah. Go to www.corepoweryoga.com, and you can walk into any location that you see there on the website and say that you're new. We'll say, hey, welcome. And you get to try whatever, any class that you want for 7 consecutive days and see what works for you, because that's really what life is all about.
Okay.
It's like finding your place.
Free week. What a way to start the year.
Very much.
With getting in touch with yourself, with being versus doing, and yoga.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate
Denise,
your
thanks so much for calling.
wisdom, and I'll see you in class.
You're most welcome. Thank you, Judy.
You're
Talk to you
welcome.
soon.
Bye. Well, yeah, sustainability and integrating mind, body, and soul. And I think sometimes, like for example, I do martial arts. Every Thursday I go to my Master Jun Chung Taekwondo, and I've been with him for 17 years. And so I adore that man. And part of my sustainability is the relationship that I have with my master. And he's one incredible person, and just going there, I get excited just to say, hi, Master Chung, how you doing? How are you, Judy? Did you remember the last step I showed you? Of course not. Of course. So I have to keep practicing, but the relationships are so important.
And I think the older that we get, we realize how important and valuable they are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're what life's all about. And I'm talking about real relationships, not something that you've got some cyber friend in some other foreign country. I mean, those are important, but again, more human connect than disconnect. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you guys want to twist, try yoga. I
like your pun.
It's
you want to twist.
Work.
Yes.
For the new year. But we were talking about triggers of habits. The first one, of course, we talked about was location and time of day. The second one is a series of actions that are connected. Like, for example, if you go out to a bar and have a drink, chances are you might want to have a cigarette, right? I mean, I know. I mean, I was with a buddy one time. I didn't know he smoked, and we went and had a drink, and all of a sudden he pulls out a cigarette. What are you doing? He goes, "Oh, when I drink, I have a cigarette." I'm going, "Since when?"
Well, also going back to our episode on food and mood and mood and food. What goes with depression is a donut, a cigarette, a glass of alcohol, piece of cake, some chocolate, McDonald's.
The chocolate was a great mood enhancer. Chocolate was wonderful. Dark chocolate specifically.
Well, I like dark chocolate. Everything in moderation. However, when you're feeling clean and you're not having these wounds open up, and when you're not playing life with your unhealthy defense mechanisms. By the way, exercise is a healthy defense mechanism.
Very much so. You know what? Mechanism. Just skip the exercise business. Just put a pair of tennis shoes on, walking shoes, and just go outside. Even if it's for 10 or 15 minutes. You'll feel the sunshine if it's during the day. You'll hear the birds. You'll see the trees. You'll be outside with nature, getting some sun. You will be amazed how that will just perk up your mood.
And if you have dogs, like I have dogs, I take them hiking because they need the exercise.
Yes,
and
they do.
I get the exercise. They get the exercise, and we all get the air and the sun and beautiful weather.
But again, if you don't have a dog, just step out. Take, this is me. I'm getting out of here. Just change of pace. You had a bad day or a bad afternoon or maybe a bad phone call or something, and it's like, you know what? Instead of sitting there and stewing in it, just get out, and you'll come back, and I promise you, your perspective will be different. And
another point I wanted to address is the black and white thinking. The thinking that, I blew it. So since I blew it, I now no longer have to go to the gym, or I now no longer have to eat clean foods. There's no such thing as I blew it, because you get back on track again. Everybody's going to have relapses, whether it's a relapse on a drug, as serious as that, or a relapse with food, or a relapse on your commitment to exercise. It's not about getting stuck in shaming and blaming yourself. As
I was talking to somebody earlier today, you don't should on yourself. I should be doing this, I should be doing that. Don't should on yourself. It's okay. You don't just pick it up, and you don't have to wait till tomorrow, even though tomorrow's a new day. Just start now.
Yeah, and if you didn't have great relationships in the first few years of life, then consider having a great relationship with yourself, because ultimately who do we most relate to is ourselves. And if we treat ourselves with kindness, we're going to respond in a different way than if we force ourselves to do something that we really don't want to be doing, or we push ourselves beyond a point where we're now not going to enjoy what we're doing at all, and then it'll backlash into actually resulting in not wanting to do it at all, and then we give it up.
And the question is, are you looking for excuses to not improve yourself and break the habit, or reasons to? Right?
I like that.
So, I had a bad day, so I'm not going to do anything. Now, is that an excuse? Are you looking for excuses, or you set yourself up for an excuse? Or have you got a reason to? Again, as I mentioned earlier, you got to have a big why. And maybe you've got somebody you're accountable to. It could be online, or somebody you can call. Hey, I'm having a bad day, and you know what? They can help you put things in perspective and get back on track. And that's why you can't do it by yourself.
And it doesn't have to cost money. Okay, if you can't afford to go to a yoga studio or hire a personal trainer or what have you, it just doesn't have to cost money. You can get your friend, your family member, whatever, your dog, and block off on your schedule sometimes to work out, and that's your workout. And every time you build on it just a little bit more.
Or, for example, just coming to mind is for those of you that really, specifically exercise possibly, there are groups called Meetup, and you can go to www.meetup.com, and there are groups, or start one, of any kind you could fathom.
Right,
Just
hiking groups.
Hiking groups.
Yeah.
Once a month, they go on a hike or a walk or go to the beach or do something. Again, you form some new friends, get out of your comfort zone a little bit, because we all know our comfort zone's our failure zone, and go get out, go do something. And then the third trigger, which we've already talked about, is actually moods. If you feel low, maybe you reach for that chocolate or the cigarette or that glass of wine. And the fourth trigger sometimes is by the company of certain people.
That's a big trigger.
Okay,
right.
Do you want to train around those that are exercisers, or feast when around eaters? Association is a big one. Who do you hang around?
If you go to panel number 5, I don't know if you have the mind map up there, but panel number 5 is our defense mechanisms, and I call it the isms. And
it's defending the wound is what we've got. This wound.
That's
we spent
right.
our whole life with this wound and defending it, and now we're stuck with it.
Right, and so another way that I like to use panel 5 in my treatment with my patients is to say that when you're becoming a healthy ism, meaning that you're developing healthy defense mechanisms, then you don't want to put yourself in toxic environments where people are smoking and drinking and overeating. It's not going to be sustainable.
So anyway, those are some of the triggers, and if you're aware of the triggers, then which is the first thing, maybe now you can go, okay, these are my triggers. We can address it. We can do something with it. I read that sometimes a habit with your environment, with all these triggers, are better addressed when you're on vacation, because now you're in a different environment. And you don't have all those triggers, and to start maybe working on one habit, changing it, whatever it might be. One comes to mind would be smoking. Sure, you're on vacation, you want to relax, or you want to smoke, but if the triggers aren't there, then the chances of you actually doing that habit are lessened.
Very good point. And I know there's controversy around this, but it takes about 3 to 4 weeks or more to form a new habit, anywhere from 28 days to a few months. And then you're in the groove. You don't have to think about it so hard.
Well, the thing is, a lot of it is what I read was a lot of habits are neurological. 40% of our day, a lot of it, from brushing our teeth to driving to work, is habitual. And it's kind of neurologically ingrained, wired in ourselves. And what we're trying to do is kind of replace it with something and rewire ourselves so that it's permanent and obviously sustainable. And that, the most difficult time and the most important time is 21 or 28 consecutive days.
Absolutely.
And then once that foundation is laid, then, you can do more. But to rewire yourself, it may take 3, 4, 5 months. But the first most critical, of course, is 21 days. And so that's pretty much all we've got to address today in our show, which is habit makers and habit breakers. I think we're going to be continuing this next week.
Yeah, we are.
But now it's time for us to shrink that tune. And we've got a great one that I think this was by request again. It's called Breaking the Habit, and it's by Linkin Park. So that's Linkin, Linkin Park. So we're going to read the lyrics, and then we're going to play the song, and Dr. Judy and I are going to, Dr. Judy's going to shrink it. So we're going to shrink that tune. Memories consume like opening the wound. I'm picking me apart again. You all assume I'm safe here in my room unless I try to start again.
Okay, so the memories consume is the trigger of the wound that, again, if you look at it from the lens of the mind map, the original wound of the disconnect from childhood, and then there goes this person. He's picking himself apart, so he's really replicating it by narcissistically re-injuring himself.
He's shooting on himself.
That's right. He's shooting on himself.
Shooting on himself.
So you all assume I'm safe here in my room unless I try to start again, picking on himself. So he's not safe because he's not safe in his own mind. So there's no safety.
I don't want to be the one the battles always choose, because inside I realize that I'm the one confused.
Right. So this person has gotten himself or herself into chaos, and now there's this law of attraction that the battles are always choosing him, but he's really doing what I call a what the Freud, repeating old patterns, and the battles just keep choosing him because he's repeating the same thing over and over.
Yep. And here's the chorus. I don't know what's worth fighting for or why I have to scream. I don't know why I investigate and say what I don't mean. I don't know how I got this way. I know it's not all right. So I'm breaking the habit. I'm breaking the habit tonight.
So what I love about the chorus is this is all this unconscious stuff. I don't know how I got this way. I don't know what's worth fighting for because it seems so hopeless. And so really this bunch of I don't knows is his way of saying, I'm super unconscious about why I am the way I am, and the way to get to that, again, is to unpeel, like an onion, peel back the evidence and look at the wound and stare at it in the face so that it can all
but that's scary.
I know, and that's
really
why,
scary.
and that's why the next few lines go on.
But wait, there's more.
There's
Clutching
more.
my cure, I tightly lock the door. I try to catch my breath again. I hurt much more than any time before. I had no options left again.
Okay, so this is why he's clutching his cure, because the cure is the filler of the hole in the soul. The cure could be smoking, drinking, porn, shopaholic, whatever, drugs, sex, rock and roll, as I like to put it, okay? So he's clutching his cure, and I tightly lock the door. I try to catch my breath again, but it doesn't work. I hurt much more. And every time he goes through this, he's got this like a whole smorgasbord, so to speak, of habits to choose from, but none of them are working. So he keeps re-injuring, and it's not working.
And then we got the chorus again, but then the bridge. I'll paint it on the walls because I'm the one at faults. I'll never fight again, and this is how it ends.
Well, he'll paint it on the wall maybe just to self-punish again and shame and blame himself, like, look, I'm at fault, but as you and I know, and some of you already know because you've heard me before, shame and blame is never the cure. It's always a matter of self-reflection and self-correction. We can always self-correct and self-reflect, but when we shame and blame, we injure and we put ourselves back to square one.
Adds
back
insult
to the
to
wound.
injury.
Right.
So that's our song, Breaking the Habit by Linkin Park. And you have been listening to Dr. Judy, WTF, here on the UBN Network. If you want to have a request for a song or want to learn more about what we talked about here in the show, just go to info at drjudywtf.com. And we will continue our series on habit makers, habit breakers next week. And we're going to close out with our song.
Okay, and always brought to you with unconditional love, the most powerful healing force on the planet.
God bless everyone.